Hello and welcome to Downright Mindful. Now, as it's obvious to you, I'm without Paul this week. Paul spent the holiday week with family, and I'm encouraging of him to do that. He needed a break, so he took one. So it's just me today. Now, this episode will be available to you on July 6th, which is about halfway through the calendar year. And one thing I like to do as I'm coming into July, especially since I've became a teacher, because as a teacher, this is the time of year that you come into July and now you can see August. So you got to start putting some things in order. I like to just take a minute and look back on my year and think about, what are those thoughts that I was having in January? Some people have New Year's resolutions in January and they set goals and they do all of those things. That's not really me. But I do at times reflect at the new year and maybe set some priorities. I set some behavioral expectations for myself. So it's this time of year that I like to look back and think on those things and make some decisions on am I doing this the way that I intended to in January, or did this go the way I wanted it to go? Stuff like that. Another thing that I do is I take that same vision and I begin to look ahead at December. And I know as I've strung a few decades together now at 41, I've been around the sun enough times to know that we're going to blink our eyes and Santa Claus is going to be coming to town. So I really take this time to sort of set some priorities for myself. I decide what are the things that I want my time and my efforts to be going toward right now, and what do I hope to have accomplished by December. That's not setting goal. I'm not a goal setter. Goals. We need to do a separate episode on goal set. I think goal setting's kind of like the term leadership. I think we often confuse and misuse those concepts. Anyway, that's a totally different topic. What I am going to do is this week, being solo, I'm going to make it a light load creatively by sharing something with you that I've already created. And it goes right into that theme of being reflective and taking, taking bad situations and making good from them. Finding hope. This story that I'm going to tell is about all of those things. Now, I'm doing this on the encouragement of Paul to sort of show a vulnerability that I'm not used to showing to other people. And I'm going to share a story that I have written already. Um, it's called Between the Loss and the Lyrics. And it's part of a project that I work on in my spare time. And I'm basically writing memoirs that are themed around church hymnals, like the red back church hymnals that maybe some of you grew up singing in church. And this story that I'm going to tell, I've shared it with a few people in the past, and some of them said it should have came with a warning label because it is, at the onset, it's a sad story. There is sadness associated and grief, unimaginable grief in this story. But hopefully, what you could take away from this story is some of the hope that can be found in that grief. And we're gonna look straight back to the source. We're gonna look at Jesus's words when it comes to um, hard times in this world and how he's over. Anyways, um, this story is based around the song "It Is Well with My Soul." That's written by Horatio Spafford, and the story around that song is again unimaginable grief and you know 140 years, 150 years later, we're still benefiting from those words that he found in his soul during that time. So that's what it's all about. It's all about reflection here. If we're being mindful, we're looking at even the worst of situations and deciding, who we were coming into that situation, who we were through that situation and sort of who we are afterwards. So there's a lot of those elements present in this story. Now, as part of this story, I think if I sing some of the lyrics to you, it just makes it a better story. So forgive me for that, and your ears will heal. Um, but I'm just going to jump right into it. That way, I'm not just rambling on here. Okay. So it's called Between the Loss and the Lyrics. Some songs you sing, and some songs sit in your bones until life wrings them out of you. It Is Well With My Soul is one of those songs. Horatio Spafford knew what it was to watch life take too much. He lost most of his real estate holdings in the Chicago fires of 1871. 2 years later, he sent his wife and 4 daughters ahead of him on a ship bound for England, only to receive a telegram from his wife, Anna, that simply said, "Saved alone, what shall I do?" See, the ship had gone down, and all 4 of his daughters had drowned. He crossed that ocean to bring his grieving wife home, and when his ship passed over the place where his children had died, he wrote these words: "When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well, it is well with my soul." Now, I don't know how a man who lost that much could have written those words. But fast forward, about 140 years or so. It was November 7th, 2015. The South Carolina Gamecocks were playing the Tennessee Volunteers at Neyland Stadium. My family and I were at the home of some friends, watching while Tennessee trailed most of the game. Our bellies full of bean dip and pigs in a blanket, and sometime just before Jalen Reeves-Maben recovered the fumble that set up Aaron Medley's game-winning field goal, my phone rang. It was my mom. Now, I answered it, and in a tone that chilled me to the bone, she said, "Addison's passed away." Now, my heart sank in confusion. My baby sister, little Jackie, who's named after our daddy, was 40 weeks pregnant, hours from delivering her first child, Addison Grace McKnight. I tried to ask a question, but Mom interrupted, her voice shaking. She said, "I can't tell your daddy. I need you to tell him." I hung up the phone, pulled my wife to the side, and told her the news. And then I left. Now, I consider myself a fixer. As I walked to my car, my mind blazed, trying to find some way, any way, to undo what had already happened. As I tried to conjure a remedy, my feelings tumbled from confusion to anger and back to denial. I cursed at the dashboard and punched at the air like a fool. Somewhere about halfway to Dad's house, I somehow pulled myself together. That stoic that had escaped me returned, and I stared down the task at hand. Though Satan should buffet, though trial should come, let this blessed assurance control, that Christ hath regarded my helpless mercy stayed, and hath shed his own blood for my soul. My dad was the son of an alcoholic and quit high school to work and support his family. He put all of his personal value in his kids and his grandkids. He was the kind of dad who was hard on his boys and treated his little girls like royalty, but he loved us all the same. Becoming a grandfather had turned him into a complete mess. Well, he'd rather run and play with those babies than to breathe air. His body was weathered, his resolve calloused, but when it came to those babies, his heart was as soft as a newborn puppy. Nobody, barring her mother and daddy, had anticipated Addison's arrival like Big Jackie Parris. His baby was having a baby. When I walked into his house, he was just loafing around, upbeat, like he was about to go somewhere, but I knew he wasn't. Mom would be home soon. The greetings were normal, quick. Then he noticed, Saturday evening, late, you don't usually just drop by. Now, he wasn't suspicious just yet, but I read it on his face when he asked, "What are you up to?" I ripped it like a Band-Aid. "Well, I got to tell you something you ain't going to like. There were some complications, and baby Addison didn't make it." At first, he smiled and pointed at me like I was joking. He said, "Huh, you're funny." But even as he said it, I saw it hit him. He turned toward the end table, and I braced for him to grab it and throw it through a window. He didn't, but I could tell he wanted to. He paced, slow and aimless, like he didn't know where to go. He kept repeating, "Oh, you better be kidding. Please tell me you're kidding." He made all these movements, all these half-formed gestures, like he wanted to tear the place apart, but he didn't. I just kept apologizing, I guess, the way Southern boys do when they don't know what else to say. He asked questions that I didn't have the answers to. All I knew was that Jackie had made an appointment because something didn't feel right, and the baby's heart had stopped beating. Now, she delivered Addison the next day, November 8th. I went to the hospital, spent time with the grieving parents, and held that beautiful angel baby. In a room so thick with sorrow that it pressed on your chest, I knew words were not the tonic. I didn't say much. I just felt guilty. I was wearing my big brother hat, thinking about how I had been a rotten person and my baby sister was just an angel. It didn't then, and it does not now make sense to me, but that's a different song. A few days, a couple hymns, and one tiny grave later, I retreated into something that I would have called bitterness then. Now I'd call it humility. You see, I'd been humbled as a big brother. This time I couldn't fight a bully for her. I couldn't pick her up and dust off her knees. I couldn't tell her everything was going to be okay. There was no amount of money I could spend, no education I could get, nothing I could do to wash this one away. She'd carry this heartache forever. My sin, oh, the bliss of this glorious thought. My sin, not in part, but the whole, is nailed to the cross, and I bear it no more. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, oh my soul. Now, Grass continues its growth in East Tennessee sometimes into December. I must have mowed my yard 3 times a week that fall. And after a short winter, I picked right up where I left off. I didn't realize it at first, but mowing was just me continuing to punch at the air. I put every gospel song known to man into my earbuds that summer. Not because I expected it to be healing, but that's just what I listened to. I nearly mowed my grass into the dirt. It was during one of those rides with the dust rising behind me and the sun beating down like it had the right to shine on a world this cruel that a version of "It Is Well With My Soul" came on. Now, it was around that time that I had become aware of just how mad I was. And mad is what I feel. It's really sad, but I confused those feelings as a child and it took me 30 years to figure it out. Simply put, I was in a fog. My mother texted me around that time and said, "I'm praying for you." I texted her back and said, "I'm good." Use those prayers on my brother and sisters. But I wasn't good. You see, baby Addison wasn't the only thing on my mind. There seemed to be a whirlwind of attacks on my siblings at that time, and there wasn't anything I could do. Life was striking them repeatedly at a level that I hadn't dealt with before. Mad, sad, guilt. Mowing helped me to think, and gospel music helped me remember. For me, be it Christ, hence to live. If Jordan above me shall roll, no pain shall be mine, for in death as in life thou wilt whisper thy peace to my soul. Now, some pain never stops hurting. You just learn how to carry it. Now, I don't sing that song the way I used to. I don't just mouth the words out of habit, waiting for the verses to end. Now I sing it like a prayer, like a plea, like a man desperate to believe that someday, somehow, it really will be well. I sing it for my sister, for the little girl we never got to know, and for all the ways we have to keep walking even when the road feels too heavy. And I sing it knowing Spafford didn't write it because everything was fine. He wrote it because he needed to believe, even in the middle of his grief, that one day it would be. Through the fog, I began to see as the pain dulled a little and the blessings of life came back into focus that Spafford had discovered the same bedrock that some of my family was standing on. I was constantly reminded of Jesus speaking to his disciples, and as he explained to them that he'd be leaving, he encouraged them of the same foundation. A time is coming, and in fact has come, when you will be scattered, each to your own home. You will leave me all alone, yet I am not alone, for my Father is with me. I've told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. But Lord, 'tis for thee, for thy coming we wait. The sky, not the grave, is our goal. O trump of the angel, O voice voice of the Lord. Blessed hope, blessed rest of my soul. Now, my baby sister never had to promise that she'd remember Addison. Forgetting was never in her. What she worries about, what she carries like a stone in her chest, is that the rest of us might. That time might smooth over what was sharp. That life might move on too quick. Leaving Addison behind like a name whispered once and then gone. But I know better. I know because there ain't a day that passes that I don't think about all my nieces and nephews, just like I do my brother and sisters. Addison, Baby Fields, these are two names that should have been called for supper. Two lives that should have been filled with scraped knees and belly laughs are now just more of the reasons I want to go to heaven. And yet, in all this story of sorrow, I take comfort in knowing that those babies never had to taste it. No heartbreak, no hunger, no worry. The only thing they've ever known is the kind of peace that the rest of us beg for. And Lord, haste the day when my faith shall be sight. The clouds be rolled back as a scroll. The trump shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. Now, here's the thing about a song like this. It just don't get sung. It don't just echo off the walls of a church or slip from the lips of the grieving. It plants itself deep in the marrow of a man, in the places where the light still fights its way through. And even when the song is done, after the pews empty, the black earth settles, it stays. It rises up when the air's thick with sorrow, when hands tremble over tiny headstones, when the world don't make sense. It hums beneath the breath of a mother rocking in the quiet, of a brother mowing his yard down to the dirt, and of a father looking toward heaven like it owes him something back. And if Spafford could sing it over the waves that held his daughters, if my sister can hum it in the dark hours before morning, then I can too. And you can too. And maybe when the last tears dried and the morning breaks soft and golden, we'll find those babies waiting just past the edge of the sorrow, their hands outstretched, their laughter carried on the breeze, and the song that held us through it all rising sweet and clear, finally complete. It is well. Well, there it is. Hopefully I got through that and I won't have to edit it much because I said I wanted this to be a light, creative week. Hopefully that song, that story isn't just sad for you. Hopefully you can feel the encouragement, the reflection, the hope that can be found in the words of Jesus saying, hey, you're going to go through this. You're going to have hard times. This world is tough, but I got it. I overcame it. I fixed it. It's good. Again, that's so uncomfortable for me to share with you. That's me just being vulnerable to you. So yeah, there it is. That's it. Hopefully you can find some thoughts in there or maybe a statement. Hopefully you can think on something that you've been through in your life and you can find hope in that story, through that story. Literally, Horatio Spafford is, this is the tune of his heart as he sails the ocean that his daughters are laying on the floor of. And that, gosh, that's so ugly to even put it that way, but that's where that song came from. That's some of these hymns, those the stories behind them are so powerful, and that's why their words mean so much to us, even 150 years now later. But anyways, as you take your time to reflect on the year that has been and the year that is to come, think about those hard times. If you've been through hard times this year, think about Horatio Spafford's story. Think about your story. Think about the words of Jesus in the book of John that I read to you. Um, it was his final warning. It's one of his last conversations with the disciples of like, hey, like, you've lived this life here for whatever 3 years. It's about to change, and you're going to be scattered, and you're going to go, and they're going to hate you because of me, and they're going to kill you because of me. This world is tough. You will have heartache. I mean, that's almost a promise. In this world, you will have heartache, but take heart. I've overcome the world. Um, Reflect on that. I hope you had a great time with your families this week. Hope you shot some fireworks and that you still have all your fingers and toes. Hope there were no backup Terry situations. Um, but as you come off of the holiday and you begin to look toward August from July, you begin to look toward December. Santa Claus is coming. Those letters got to go out here in just a few months. Um, make priorities for yourself. Make sure that, you know, we all have sort of an equal amount of time, and make sure that you're spending that time on something that is important to you and that's constructive and that it's good for you. Um, so, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you, Paul, for the encouragement to share these stories. Although it is uncomfortable for me, man, I'm leaning on your encouragement. So keep that coming, and I appreciate you. And I hope you had a great time with your family this week, and were able to rest and relax a little bit. Uh, those of you that are still listening, I want to take just a second to thank you, and then I'm gonna close this out. Thank you for always joining in the conversations with me and Paul. We are I've dubbed in my mind, we are hobbyist podcasters. We don't make any money podcasting. We have no ambitions to make money podcasting. That's wild. We're not Joe Rogan. We're not celebrities here. We are guys that have conversations, and we try to uh, dissect every thought as men, as husbands, as fathers, as creators, as teachers. And we press record on those to share them with you and to allow our friends and family and even some others to um, take part in those thoughts. And we thank you for listening. The biggest way that you could help us as hobbyist podcasters is to, when you listen to one of our conversations and you think back on it, or maybe it causes you to have a thought that really helps you, or whatever it is. Share that with us, and share it with somebody. Somebody comes to your mind when we start talking about being mindful and thinking and planning and prioritizing. Somebody comes to your mind. Share it privately with them. You don't have When I say share this conversation, I don't mean you have to make a Facebook post and share it with all of your 2,000 friends, or whatever, however many friends you have on Facebook. You don't have to do that. If you do that, that's fine. But you don't have to do that. Shoot that link in a text to your best friend and say, "Hey, you hear what these dudes said about this? That's okay." You can share that way, and that helps us. If you like things, you comment. That does help us reach a broader audience, and our audience is getting pretty broad. It's not We're not like, oh my god level, but like we have more listeners right now in the Nashville area than we have in the Cleveland area. So it tells me that something we're doing is working. We've got a bunch of people from the Atlanta area. Anyways, that's all thanks to you commenting, liking, and engaging with our social media posts and our things like that. So if you see us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, any of those, feel free to like it. Just a simple like, or put it in your favorites on TikTok. Share it with your best friend or whatever, and say, "Hey, I know this guy. He said this, and it's stupid." It can even be negative. I don't care. But that is what you can do to support these conversations that we have is to help us reach a broader audience. And you don't have to become a banner man to do that. You can just engage with our content, and that is helpful to us. Now, the last thing that I will ask of you is as you share it with your friends or you engage with it, share with us. There would be nothing more valuable. Probably the most valuable thing we could get from you is your voice in some way. It could be a text message, it could be a DM on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You could go to YouTube and leave a comment. You can go leave us a Google review. That would be awesome. Or an Apple Podcast review, Spotify, or anything like that that you do is helpful to us, and we so much appreciate it. We want to hear your voice. I believe that we can improve our content for your ears if you let us hear your voice. And I listen, we're both grown men. We've got thick skin. You can text me and say, "Hey, bro, this episode that you talked about this or that sucked. I hated it. Stick more to this." We'll hear that. We'll take whatever with a grain of salt. I'm not going to let that go to my heart. My heart doesn't my hope and my joy and my pride isn't fixed on what you think about the podcast. But when you share information like that with us, it really helps our content and it helps us speak to you in a way that you want to be spoken to. So, um, yeah, so engage with us, share with us, talk to us. If you leave comments publicly now, I may read it on a future episode. I may shout you out. Okay, so just be ready for that. If you don't want a shout out, probably don't leave a public comment. You may DM or text or whatever. But with that being said, thank you, Paul, for the encouragement. Thank you, listeners, for always engaging and listening to us. And I will see you next time. And Paul will be back with me. And this is Downright Mindful. Thank you.